January 5, 1996, 3:45 in the afternoon. A safe house in Gaza. A young man holds a cell phone against his ear. His father has lent him the phone just for this call. The man's name is Yahya Ayyash. He is 29 years old. Electrical engineer, brilliant, meticulous, careful. But he has another job too. He is Hamas's deadliest bomb maker, Israel's most wanted terrorist, the man responsible for killing 60 Israelis in suicide attacks. They call him the engineer. And in 3 seconds, he is going to die. In the most ironic way possible. The phone against his ear contains 50 grams of RDX explosive, planted by Mossad, waiting for the right signal. On the other end of the line, a Mossad agent listens to his voice, confirms the identity, presses a button. The explosion destroys his head instantly, the bomb maker killed by a bomb. This is the story of the most intense manhunt in Mossad's history, a 3-year operation. Impossible infiltration, innovative technology, and the perfect irony. The story of how Israel killed its most dangerous enemy, with his own favorite weapon, a bomb. To understand why Israel wanted him dead, you need to understand who Yahya Ayyash was. He was born in 1966 in Rafat, a Palestinian village near Ramallah. Poor family, but smart, very smart. Brilliant student. He loved science, engineering, mathematics. In 1988, he graduated from Birzeit University with honors in electrical engineering. He was 22 years old. The future was bright. He could have been a professor, engineer, builder. He could have helped his people with technology. But that same year, 1988, the First Intifada began, the Palestinian uprising against the Israeli occupation. Ayyash became radicalized. He joined Hamas, the Islamist organization dedicated to destroying Israel. And he decided to use his engineering skills for one thing, making bombs. Bombs to kill Israelis, as many as possible. He started simple, small homemade bombs, rudimentary explosives, nothing sophisticated. But he learned fast, he experimented, he innovated, he perfected. In 1993, Hamas gave him a mission: create a weapon that could kill en masse. Something a single Palestinian could carry, detonate in a crowd. Ayyash designed the perfected suicide vest bomb. He used stolen military explosives, added nails and screws as shrapnel, created a reliable detonator that wouldn't fail. He tested, he adjusted, he improved. And then he found someone willing to die for the cause. April 6, 1994, Afula, Israel. A bus full of civilians. A suicide bomber with Ayyash's bomb boarded the bus. He detonated himself. 8 Israelis dead, 50 injured, many maimed for life. The bomb worked perfectly. Ayyash was delighted. He had found his calling. Over the next 2 years, he made dozens of bombs. He trained others. He created a network of bomb makers in the West Bank and Gaza. His bombs killed in buses, shopping malls, markets, cafes. April 13, 1994, Hadara, 5 dead. October 19, 1994, Tel Aviv, 22 dead. December 11, 1994, Jerusalem, 13 dead. July 24, 1995, Ramat Gan, 6 dead. August 21, 1995, Jerusalem, 4 dead. Attack after attack after attack. 60 Israelis dead, hundreds injured. Terror paralyzed Israel. The Israeli media called him the engineer, the man who built death. Hamas celebrated him as a hero, living martyr, the genius who was defeating Israel. Ayyash became arrogant. He gave interviews to Palestinian journalists. He bragged about his attacks. He promised more. Every bomb is a work of art, he said. I am proud of my work. For Israel, it was different. He was terrorist number 1, the highest priority target. Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin ordered Mossad, find him, kill him, whatever the cost. Mossad accepted the challenge. But there was a problem. Yahya Ayyash was a ghost. Killing Yahya Ayyash would not be easy, because Ayyash knew Israel was hunting him, and he was extremely careful. He never slept in the same place 2 nights in a row. He moved constantly, safe house to safe house. He changed his appearance. Shaved his beard, grew a beard, wore glasses, didn't wear glasses, different clothes. He never used his real name, dozens of aliases. Fake documents. He never used a phone, no calls, no landlines, no way to track him electronically. He trusted very few people. Only immediate family, some highly trusted Hamas commanders. He hid in Gaza, territory controlled by Hamas, where Mossad could not operate easily. Israeli security forces tried to capture him dozens of times. Raids on houses, checkpoints, covert operations. Every time he disappeared like smoke. In December 1994, Israeli special forces almost caught him in a house in Gaza. They surrounded the building. They were sure he was inside. They burst in, the house was empty. He had escaped minutes before, warned by lookouts. In March 1995, intelligence said he was in a mosque in Khan Yunis. Israeli helicopters ready to strike. But there were women and children in the mosque. Israel canceled the attack. When ground troops arrived, he had disappeared again. Frustration grew. Ayyash kept building bombs. Israelis kept dying. The Shin Bet, Israel's internal intelligence, tried to recruit collaborators. orders to infiltrate Hamas, find Ayyash. Some small successes, they learned his habits, his movements, but never enough to catch him. An undercover agent reported, Ayyash is paranoid, trusts no one, always on the move, impossible to predict. So Mossad changed tactics. If they couldn't find him physically, they would find him electronically. But Ayyash didn't use phones. He never called, too dangerous. So Mossad needed him to start using a phone. And for that, they needed a perfect plan. Mid-1995, Mossad headquarters Tel Aviv. A high-level classified meeting, topic Yahya Ayyash. Present Chief of Mossad, Chief of Operations, Technical Specialists Shin Bet. The problem, we can't locate him. He doesn't use phones, always on the move. The question, how do we kill him? A technical specialist proposed a radical idea. What if we give him a phone? Silence, then laughter. He would never use a phone. Not if he knows it's from us, but what if he thinks it's safe? The idea, make Ayyash trust a specific phone, make him use that phone, and then explode it. But how? Part 1, get a phone to someone close to Ayyash, someone he trusts absolutely. His family. The Shin Bet investigated Ayyash's father, Kamal Ayyash. He lived in the West Bank. He communicated occasionally with his son. Objective, make the father obtain a cell phone. Then Yahya would borrow that phone for occasional calls. Part 2, modify the phone, turn it into a bomb. Mossad technicians worked for months. They took a standard Motorola cell phone, a common model in the Middle East. They removed components, added 50 grams of military RDX explosive. High power. They installed a detonator connected to the phone's receiver. When a certain frequency rang, it would explode. They tested again and again, adjusted, perfected. The phone looked normal, worked normally. No one could tell it was modified, except that it could kill. Part 3, deliver the phone to Ayyash's father. The Shin Bet identified a Palestinian collaborator, someone with access to the father. They gave him instructions, give this phone to Kamal Ayyash, tell him it's a gift. Free new phones. But why would Kamal accept a phone from a stranger? The collaborator was a merchant who knew the family. Trust established over years. He said the phone company was giving away phones as a promotion. Do you want one? Kamal accepted, happy to have a free cell phone. The phone was in his possession. Part 4, wait. Mossad waited, monitoring the phone electronically, waiting for Yahya to use it. Weeks passed, Kamal used the phone, normal calls, family, friends. But not Yahya. More weeks, more waitings. Then November 1995, it happened. The phone made a call to Gaza. Kamal speaking to someone in Gaza, asking to speak to his son. Yahya was there, but he didn't take the phone. Too careful. More waiting, December, nothing. The operatives got frustrated. Maybe Yahya would never use the phone. But Mossad was patient. They kept monitoring, waiting for the perfect moment. And then, January 1996, the opportunity arrived. January 5, 1996. Yahya Ayyash was hiding in Gaza. Safe house in Beit Lahia. His father Kamal was in the West Bank. He wanted to speak to his son. Urgent family matter. Kamal called a contact in Gaza, asked for Yahya to call him back. The message reached Yahya. His father needed to speak urgently. Normally, Yahya would refuse, too dangerous to use phones. But it was his father, important family matter. Just a short call. Yahya asked his father for the cell phone number. Kamal gave him the numbers. The number of the Motorola that Mossad had planted. Yahya decided to call. But first, precautions. He went to a different house. Not his own, used someone else's phone to call. He borrowed a cell phone from a local friend. Just for 5 minutes. 3:30 p.m., he dialed his father's number. In Tel Aviv, alarms went off. The modified phone was ringing. Incoming call from Gaza. Mossad operators verified Gaza number could be Yahya. But they needed to be sure. Kamal answered the phone, hello. Voice on the other end, father, it's Yahya. Confirmation. Kamal started talking to his son. Normal conversation, family matters. In Tel Aviv, the Mossad team was listening live, confirming the voice, real-time voice analysis. Positive match, it was Yahya Ayyash, the engineer. The operations commander had to decide. Detonate now or wait. Problem, Yahya was using a different phone, not the modified Motorola. The Motorola was with his father in the West Bank. Yahya was in Gaza using a different phone. They needed Yahya to use the specific Motorola. The Mossad operator jammed the call, caused static, interference. Kamal, I see. Can't hear you well, let me call you back. He hung up. Kamal dialed the number Yahya had called from, borrowed phone in Gaza. Yahya answered. Kamal's better now. They spoke briefly, but Kamal said, my battery is low. Give me your number, I'll call you from another phone. Yahya gave the number of the borrowed phone. Kamal hung up, walked to another room, grabbed the modified Motorola, called Yahya back. In Gaza, the borrowed phone rang. Yahya answered. But Mossad wanted Yahya to call to the Motorola, not from another phone. They needed Yahya to hold the Motorola against his ear. More interference, Mossad cut the call. Kamal confused. Tried to call again. Yahya Yahya frustrated, technical problems. Then Yahya had an idea. Father, call me at this number. He gave Camel a different number. No, Mossad needed Yahya to call the Motorola. An agent in the West Bank called Camel, pretending to be a phone company technician. Sir, there is a problem with your phone. I need you to make a test call. Camel confused but complied. Eventually, after confusion and technical issues, it happened. Camel told Yahya, call me on my cell, we'll try that one. Yahya agreed, hung up, dialed his father's Motorola number. 3:45 p.m. The Motorola in Camel's hand rang. Camel answered, hello. Father, it's me. Camel, wait, someone at the door. He passed the phone to someone else in the room. No, Mossad needed Yahya holding the Motorola. More confusion, more manipulation. Finally, Camel said, Yahya, I need you to call me back in a minute. I'm going to another room. Hung up. A minute later, Yahya called the Motorola again. But this time, Camel didn't answer it immediately. Let it ring, took the phone to the neighboring house, where the Shin Bet collaborator was. Gave the phone to the collaborator, you answer, say it's me. The collaborator answered the Motorola. Hello, Yahya's father. Collaborator, wait son, problem with the phone. Hung up. Then he called Yahya using the modified Motorola. Yahya answered on his borrowed phone. No, still not right. This continued, cat and mouse game, technical manipulation, confusion. Until finally, Yahya was alone in the room, frustrated with technical problems. His friend told him, use my Motorola, it works better. Passed him a Motorola cell phone. No, it was a different phone. But then, the collaborator in the West Bank managed to get the modified Motorola taken to Gaza. Through complicated connections, transfers, the modified Motorola arrived at the house where Yahya was hiding. Someone handed it to him. Your father sent this, says to use it. Yahya hesitated, distrusted phones. But his father sent it, should be fine. He grabbed the modified Motorola. He called his father. The Motorola against his ear. It rang. In Tel Aviv, confirmation. The modified phone was in use. Close to someone's head in Gaza. Camel answered, hello. Father, it's Yahya. Voice analysis, positive confirmation. It was him, Yahya Ayyash, the engineer. And he was holding the modified phone against his ear. The operations commander in Tel Aviv had the detonator. Last check, sure it's him. Confirmed Yahya Ayyash, target phone, proceed. Press the button. Signal sent via satellite. Specific frequency transmitted to the Motorola in Gaza. The detonator received the signal. Microsecond delay. Then, explosion. 50 grams of RDX detonated centimeters from Yahya's head. The explosion destroyed his head instantly. Skull fragmented, brain shattered, instant death. The engineer was dead. Killed by a bomb. His own specialty. The house in Gaza exploded into chaos. Bodyguards ran into the room. They saw the body, blood everywhere. Ayyash's head almost completely destroyed, still holding the remains of the phone. They screamed, confusion, what happened? Someone shouted, bomb, Israeli rocket. Others thought it was an airstrike. They searched outside, no planes. No drones, no missiles. Then they saw the phone, shattered, burned. They understood the phone exploded. They ran outside. Alarm sounded throughout Gaza. The engineer is dead, Ayyash is dead. Body taken to Shifa Hospital in Gaza City. Doctors examined him, tried to identify him, difficult, face destroyed. Fingerprints confirmed it was Yahya Ayyash. News spread like fire. Hamas initially denied Ayyash is alive, Israeli propaganda. But evidence was clear, body identified, eyewitnesses. Hamas finally admitted, our hero Yahya Ayyash has been martyred by the Zionists. Crowds flooded Gaza streets, mourning, rage, cries for vengeance. Massive funeral, tens of thousands attended. Body carried in procession through Gaza. Hamas flags, chants, gunfire in the air. Revenge, revenge for the engineer. Hamas leaders swore retaliation. Israel will pay dearly. But privately, Hamas was terrified. If Mossad could kill Ayyash, their most protected asset, who else could they reach? They launched an internal investigation. How did they get access? Who collaborated? They suspected Ayyash's father. Did he know about the phone? They interrogated him. Camel swore he knew nothing. He was a victim too. Hamas believed him, but they watched the whole family. They searched for the collaborator, never found him. The Shin Bet had exfiltrated him. Hamas increased security dramatically. All leaders changed phones, new protocols. They banned cell phones for high-level operatives, too dangerous. Complete change in security culture. Meanwhile, in Israel, celebration. Prime Minister Shimon Peres, Rabin had been assassinated months earlier, praised the operation. He didn't admit it publicly, but everyone knew it was Israel. Israeli media celebrated, the engineer eliminated. Families of the victims wept with relief. Justice at last. But Peres warned, expect retaliation. Hamas will take revenge. Security forces on high alert, waiting for revenge attacks. And Hamas delivered. Hamas swore revenge and they executed it. Less than 2 months after Ayyash's assassination, it began. February 25, 1996, Jerusalem. Bus number 18. Suicide bomber boarded, detonated himself. 26 dead, 48 injured. March 4, 1996, Tel Aviv. Dizengoff Center. Another suicide bomber, 13 dead, 130 injured. March 3, 1996, Jerusalem again. Bus number 18 again. 19 dead, 10 injured. A week of terror, 3 attacks, 58 Israelis dead. Hundreds injured. Hamas declared this is for the engineer, more will come. Israel was traumatized, fear paralyzed the country. The elections were close, May 1996. Prime Minister Perez versus Benjamin Netanyahu. Perez had supported the peace process. Oslo Accords negotiations with Palestinians. The attacks destroyed his campaign. Israelis wanted security, a strong hand. Netanyahu won the elections, partly due to Hamas's revenge attacks. Ironic, killing Ayyash helped Hamas politically. Sabotage the peace process. But in the long run, was it worth it for Israel? Yes, definitely. Ayyash was irreplaceable. His technical experience, his innovation, his mentorship. After his death, the quality of Hamas bombs declined. His successors were not as skilled. Bombs failed more, less deadly. The training he provided died with him. More important, the assassination sent a message. Israel could reach anyone, anywhere, anytime. Even in Gaza, even in safe houses, even the most careful ones. Hamas leaders lived in constant fear. What object could be modified? Phone, radio, laptop, car. Paranoia paralyzed operations. And the technique bomb in a phone became legendary. Mossad used variations many times after. 2006, Hezbollah leader almost killed with an exploding laptop. Other intelligence agencies copied the technique. CIA MI6, Russian FSB. Exploding phone became a standard assassination tool. It all started with Yahya Ayyash. Almost 30 years later, the assassination of Yahya Ayyash remains legendary. In Mossad history, it is one of the most celebrated successes. Complex operation, impossible infiltration, extreme patience, perfect execution. And the poetic irony, the bomb maker killed by a bomb. For Hamas, Ayyash is a martyr hero. Streets are named after him in Gaza. His image on murals, posters, propaganda. They call him the martyr engineer. Inspiration for new generations. But the truth is more complicated. Ayyash killed 60 innocent Israelis, men, women, children, elderly. His bombs shattered families, caused untold suffering. Was he a genius? Yes. Talented engineer? Absolutely. Did he use that talent for evil? Without a doubt. He could have built, instead he destroyed. He could have saved lives with his engineering, instead he took them. His death was justice, but it didn't bring back his victims. The families of the 60 dead felt relief. But the pain remains. For Israel, the assassination demonstrated capabilities. Mossad can do the impossible, reach anyone, innovate without limits. Gaza is not a sanctuary, safe houses are not safe. Technology can turn an everyday object into a weapon. That lesson resonates today. Modern Mossad operations use similar techniques. 2020, Iranian nuclear scientist killed with a robotic machine gun. 2024, Hezbollah leaders killed with exploding pagers. The innovation continues, the audacity persists. But Ayyash's exploding phone was the first, the original, the one that changed everything. It showed the world that modern warfare does not require soldiers. It requires intelligence, patience, creativity, technology. A phone can be as lethal as a missile. A call can be a death sentence. And Mossad masters that art. Yahya Ayyash learned it the hard way. The bomb maker killed by a bomb. The perfect irony. The poetic justice. The ending he deserved.